Hello, Cousin Alan. So this is a title page on a book that I did. This is not the one that I just finished, but I haven't done a title page on the one I just finished. So essentially, this was my first husband's maternal side of the family. Has their name and the dates that they, each chapter runs from, and then, like I mentioned, you just put the little corresponding little chapter things there. So I'm going to show you my book. All right, this is the first book, my Fields and Allen book. I've got two books that I made because it was so thick. So like I mentioned over the email, I put their wedding picture, their date they got married, names, and all that good stuff. And like I mentioned, all of my foofy stuff that I like to do. So then I kind of, work through their lives together. This is where they were married. This is a little bit more about them. My grandma's name, her baby picture, birth date and place. My grandfather, picture of them together. And there's their marriage license, a little bit about how they got married. And their marriage started off with my uncle being born fairly quickly. So this is information about their first child. And then this is their second child. This was my grandmother's career as a telephone operator, which was pretty cool. This was back in the 1960s. My grandfather's career, he worked at the Grand Coulee Dam as an electrician and an operator as well. More about my grandmother. Pictures of everyone kind of growing up. And then along came my Uncle Robbie a little bit later. More family pictures, family vacations and stuff. I tried to make it as complete as possible. This is my Aunt Sarah's page. She was adopted. I include all of that kind of stuff. So this is more family type pictures of everyone. They took a lot of pictures, which was great. So then I did this little family group sheet. I got this from like a craft store, like Joann's or Craft Warehouse, Michael's. You should be able to find stuff like this. It's kind of nice because you can summarize a little bit about their lives. Little family tree thing. And then I kind of go into their kids' lives a little bit. It's my uncle Gene Lee. His marriages, he was married twice, and then his children as infants. My dad, and a little bio on him. His marriages, my mom and his second wife Louise. His 4 children. My Uncle Robbie, same thing. That's his Navy picture, first and only marriage, stepson and daughter. And my aunt. Then it kind of continues on from there about their lives and grandchildren and retirement. My grandpa drove a plane, or flew a plane, by the way, which was pretty cool. He also built houses. He's very, very intelligent man. So this is anniversary pictures that I just was able to get. Their 50-year anniversary. And then I did kind of a special page, just because I had it, of all of my grandparents' children, and then all of their grandchildren, starting from the oldest down to the youngest. Left a blank page. That'll be their, obituary and stuff. They're still alive and well. So then I moved on to my grandfather's side of the family. That is his parents, their names, marriage date, and I always start each new chapter out with, who it's about. So this is more about his Grandpa Gene's side of the family. So this is the bio thing I was talking about. A little bit about Joy, which was my great-grandfather, and a little bit about my grandma Lucille. And then along came my grandfather, firstborn, his birth certificate, birth announcement, pretty cool. Pictures. They called him Billy Gene, which was funny. Now he just goes by Gene. His real name is William Eugene. They had some cool pictures. These were circa, 1930s. And then he had a sister. Ellie, no, you can't look at that one while I'm looking at this one. Scoot it over a little bit. Documents there moved to Grand Coulee, actually to Mason City at that time. Used to be Mason City before it was Coulee Dam. And my grandfather, who also worked on the dam. Some old school pictures. Good pictures of them as they were older. And then my great-grandfather, who died when he was quite young. I think he was in his 40s. I try to keep it, in chronological order. So, since he died at this stage in 1948, while my grandfather and his siblings were still young, I just kind of continued on from there, where usually the obituary is at the back. But it made more sense to me to have it there. So, another little family group sheet like the other one. And then at this point, I like to do a family tree just to make sure that whoever's looking at the book understands what part of the family we're working with once again. So that's my grandfather, his sister, and his brother, their parents, marriage date, info about them. And this is something that I made on my PhotoDraw. It's not something that I bought. It's just a program that I literally can create anything from scratch. So her parents, his parents, marriage, and then their information. So then there's a little bit of information about Joy and Lucille's children. So that's my grandfather, his sister, her children, and little bio, and then his younger brother from, you can see I try and do pictures of them as they're growing up, younger to oldest. Same thing. And this kind of documents my grandma Lucille's retirement and the things that she did and her grandchildren and family. And then I did the obituaries. Hold on, baby. They all died near the same time. I guess he died last. But anyways, trying to include headstones where I can. Real obituaries where I can as well. But sometimes I just type up my own. If I can't find one, I'll just type up a little bit about their life and when they died, where they were buried. Okay, so this is about more about Joy Fields. So that's my great-grandfather's side of the family. This is his parents when they were married. Another family tree to, once again, make sure that everyone knows this is Joy, my great-grandfather, and his only sister. Their parents, her parents, and I did not have pictures, but I had information. So once again, I just, I was creative with it and did what I could. So this is a little bit about my great-great-grandfather George's family. Um, some headstones, some stuff that I found on the internet. Pictures of him, little bio on him. This is the one I was talking about with, once I get back to where I'm not documenting with pictures of who their siblings were. And even if I do have some pictures, I like to document, where they were born, their parents, where their parents were married, their siblings, his siblings, and then a little bit about his mother and father's life, because I don't have much on them. So then we move to Minnie's side of the family. Would be my great-great-grandfather's mother. And her father was a Civil War soldier. Oh, hold on. Okay, back to where I left off. This is, like I said, my great-grandpa Joy's mother. She was born in 1879, and that's her, pictures of her parents. Same thing, a little bio about her life growing up, because this is going to be it for this side of the family. Like, I won't do something more for her two parents, because I just didn't have very many pictures of them for a number of reasons. That's all I had, for one thing, and for another thing, they just didn't take a lot of pictures back in the mid-1800s. So yeah, and I get creative, once again. I didn't have a lot of information about her. I knew that she had been alive since 1843, and she passed away, when did she pass away? Sometime in the 1900s. But anyway, I kind of documented all of the things that happened through her lifetime, including inventions like the printing telegraph and the inverted microscope and the fire alarm and toilet paper on a roll. Like, I just kind of came up with all these different things that happened, a little bit of, world events. She survived the Mexican War in 1845. California became a state, and the Civil War in 1861, and then 1914 she survived this, through the World War. And yeah, she lived a really long life for back then. Anyway, so you can kind of get creative, and it's nice to throw little history junkets in there. So then this was a really old picture of my grandfather. This must have been taken like around 1860. Oh, great-great-great-grandfather Witter. A little bit more. And then I kind of moved back down from there after I talked about her parents and Joy's, not Joy, but George's parents. Then I moved back down to Minnie and George's life, which is how the whole thing started. So, went from this page through the parents. Now this is their lives together. So it starts with their firstborn son. And I did have quite a few pictures, actually, of him. He must have been a pretty prized child. They took a lot of pictures of him. A school picture, which was really cool. This was back in 1912. It's easy to research on the internet and try and find things like this. The Kinmundy High School. That's about the time that he attended. And then let's see, I talked a little bit about his sister. This was one of the few pictures that I have of her, but I still did a little snippet on her. And then more about George and Mary when they were older. She lived to be quite old, like her mother. Her mother was this lady back here. Oops. This was her mother that I did that on. So apparently old age runs in the family. Being able to live to an old age ran in the family. So yeah, the two pictures that I had of Joy's sister, I used them here. She passed away when she was only 30. And then obituaries. I was lucky enough to run across this online in the old Kinmundi Express newspaper archives. And my grandmother gave me this. My grandmother gave me most of these pictures. I found a few online, but anyways. Headstones. I always try and do headstones where I can, like I said. Okay, so now I'm moving on to my my grandmother's side, or well, my great-grandmother's side of the family. So I'll flip back here so you can see where I'm coming from. So, nope, that's not quite it. This is my Grandpa Gene's mother's side of the family. And since I mentioned I always start with the guy's side of the family, the husband's side. Let's see. So, here you see where I had done Joy's side of the family. My grandpa's dad. So yeah, anyways, back to my Grandma Lucille's side of the family. Great-Grandma Lucille's. She was in the column. So here's her parents, as close to their wedding picture as what we had. They were married in 1900. Did a little family tree, once again, to help people understand who we're talking about here. So her parents, no pictures of them, but I had information. And then on this page, I even went down to the parents that I did have. So I had his parents here, and then we just know of her mother. We don't have any pictures of her father. So here's a little bio that someone had written up about him. My grandma had it, so I just copied it off and used that. A little bit more of an extended family tree for him. And a little bio on him as well. Same thing as before. Talking about his parents, his siblings that were born. Yeah. And then I moved on to Wardy's side of the family. This would be my Grandma Lucille's mother. My Grandma Lucille's mother. Her parents, I made this on my photo draw because I didn't have separate pictures of them. This is a picture of her when she was young, which was nice to have. This was taken in 1895. This was a really big one to have. This was a picture of, I think this is Wardy here. So this was her when she was younger with her siblings. So a little bit more information about this was her father and mother. So her father here, and this is his father. Information about that side of the family, and this is his. Let's see. This is his mother then. And then this last one is Wardy's maternal grandmother, which would have been, how did that work? There we go. Would have been her side of the family. It's kind of hard to keep straight when you get to, to be where there's just not very many photos or information. So grouping it as best I can. So once I got done with their parents and grandparents, is what little information that I had, then I'm starting out into their life's story. So this is about them, their children. This is really cute. Things like this really add to it. This is a letter that my grandfather, he had written to his wife-to-be, kind of a courtship type letter that my grandmother had gotten. You can see this is the envelope, shrunken size of the shrunken down thing of the envelope from April of 1911. Picture of my grandfather's store back in Missouri. This was my grandmother, Lucille, which is their daughter, firstborn daughters, Lelia and Lucille. And that's really all that I had. I didn't have any of the other siblings, which, you know, you just do what you can with what you have. So this was a good family picture. This is the two parents, Wardy and Daniel, and then their children. And then I kind of did a little thing of each of their kids just to make sure that I, you know, could identify them correctly. Okay, more pictures of their lives as they aged, their children. It's my grandmother. It's her siblings, a whole bunch of the siblings and their wives. And then that ends with Wardy's obituary that I did myself, and then Daniel's obituary and his announcement thing or handout for the funeral. So then I'll move on to the next book.